Hello my beautiful people, I just had to put this in at the beginning. So whenever I am talking about astrology, I'm always talking about whole sign astrology. I'm using the tropical zodiac. So I just wanted to put that in here so that you are fully aware of which one I'm using. So you always want to check your ascendant sign first. That's going to be the most prominent and the most relevant. Then to a lesser degree, but still very relevant, your sun sign and your moon sign. All of these work in harmony to create the wonderful being that is you. So I hope this helps, and I hope it's kind of like a little bit of a key to the video that you're about to watch. Thank you so much. Take care, and I'll see you in a moment. Hello my beautiful people, welcome to your solar eclipse in Taurus video with me, Raphael from Radiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. I just want to say a huge thank you so much for all of your comments, for all of your likes, your shares and your subscribes, and thank you for the amazing and actually overwhelming response to my astrology videos. As I've expressed previously, this is not an area that I'm confident in, even though it's something I've studied for a fair amount of time. So the response has been really wonderful, and I can't thank you all enough for that. So with that said, before we start, as always, even though there's no cards involved, I would like to bless the session with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance, and whatever messages come through, I hope they're for everybody's highest vibrational good. So with that said, I'm going to get straight into it. As you can see, I have a very chunky set of notes here, so I apologize because I've got lots to get through. So things to note about this eclipse. So this solar eclipse, it's a partial solar eclipse that will be happening in the sign of Taurus on the 30th of April at 10 degrees of Taurus. This is a big deal in so many ways, right? So things that I've got here, remember that a solar eclipse is a grand beginning, right? Reason being is because it's basically a new moon, but it's a new moon on steroids. It's pumped up, jacked up in some way. What happens with a grand beginning or a fresh start when it comes to a solar eclipse is something fresh or new is being initiated or birthed into our lives, but it tends to be or have like a fated or a karmic sort of element to it. Sometimes this is something that is being born or initiated that you can't really ignore, but the details of it aren't necessarily clear. And the reason being is, remember, an eclipse is actually a darkening of the light. So whether it's a new moon or whether it's a full moon lunar eclipse, we're losing the light for a second. So it's almost like, kind of like if you imagine the point of conception, right? It happens inside. You don't see it. You know that something may have happened, but you're not really aware until you're aware. Now, good things about this is Venus is hosting this new moon because she is that. So this obviously this new moon solar eclipse is taking place in the sign of Taurus. So therefore, the ruler of this eclipse is Venus. Venus is currently in the sign of Pisces, which is her sign of exaltation. She does good work here. This is where she does some of her best work, and she is treated better than she has been treated this entire year, right? With everything that she's gone through, including that malefic enclosure, which I'm pretty sure we all felt quite heavily. This eclipse for me is gorgeous. I remember looking at this way back last year, especially when I was doing the 2022 videos. You can still get those on the link in the description box below. When I was doing the work for those, I was looking at this eclipse and I was like, yeah, this is the one. So I booked myself a holiday, Raph is gay. Sorry, that's a joke between me and my friends, but yeah, anyway. So yeah, what I've put here is let the magic wash over you. So we won't have all of the facts. We're not going to see what the hurdles are, even though it's a grand new beginning and it's a really good one and it's got great energy with it. You're not going to see everything here. This is an unfolding of the energy of the moment, as all astrology is. So whenever you see a chart, the qualities of that moment are going to unfold over a period of time. And this is why we say in the astrology field, let's say, eclipses, while the eclipse itself may be an event, It's not really an event, it's a process that will unpack over the next 3 to 6 months once the event has taken place. There's nothing, so it's not necessarily just it happens on the day and then it's done. Even though some of these changes might start to come in very quickly because we've got that Uranian element to it. Uranus is currently in the sign of Taurus, has been there since 2018, still has about 3.5-ish years to go. Now, this eclipse and these whole eclipses that are happening over the next couple of weeks are across the Taurus and Scorpio axis. This is about the material and external wealth, but it's also about spiritual connection, depth and inner resources as well, and possibly hidden resources. So both of these signs have a sense of and a draw and an expression of wealth. With Taurus, it's overt and material and sensual. With Scorpio, it's deep, dark, taboo and hidden. If you've been watching or following my Instagram, Facebook and actually my community tab, you'll have seen I've been putting out posts about the signs and, you know, all things to do with that sign. And as I expressed there, the dark side of anything can be sexy and alluring and taboo and exciting. It's not always about what's evil. Now, that being said, this is both of these signs, Taurus and Scorpio, are sexual, sensual and powerful, just in very different ways. So we are likely to see some sort of earth changes and or geological disturbances, very possible at this time. This could also be, and is very likely to continue being, a collective value shift in some regard, but it's a change that's ushered in relatively quickly because obviously Uranus doesn't do things by halves and it doesn't do things you know, slowly. Could be what I've also got here as well, this could be a sharp election of a prominent female woman in some high-powered position, because remember, Taurus is, after all, a feminine sign. It might give us a different perspective on what's happening in the world. It could also be some kind of natural disaster, and I hope it's not, but I remember talking last year as well about what was coming up and thinking maybe we would see either a really serious hurricane or tsunami. I hope I'm wrong on that front. It's going to bring some interesting events to the surface, and I can say that this is likely to be one that will go down in history. I really do believe that. So some of the aspects that are going on with this eclipse, it is obviously I've talked about it being conjunct Uranus to within 4 degrees, so that's quite close, which means that whatever happens, it could have a technological element to it, but it could just as easily be some big moment of realization. The eclipse is sextile to Mars within 1 degree orb. I feel like this part of it is like a visceral call to action. It's like a powerful prima mobile force that gets you to move ahead with something. And it's like whatever you're setting into motion now, you're setting out on this path knowing, sure in the knowledge of where exactly you're going with it. It could be a powerful call to defend someone or something. It might also be a powerful feeling of what needs to happen or is instigated. And with this, it was the Judgment card and the 10 of Cups that really came to mind. It's like the need to fight for something or a call to action, but knowing that this is the right path to go. It's like a feeling on the depth that you can't really explain. The elements of this transit also feel to me like it's a possible, you know, death by water, tsunami. I don't want to go harping on about all of that. Earth changes are going to be a part of this eclipse cycle because they pertain to the signs of Taurus, which is Earth, and death, which is Scorpio. Venus conjunct Jupiter at 27 degrees. So she's at her most exalted degree, doing her best work, with Jupiter there kind of saying, let's ramp up this party. You know, there's not enough. And as if that's not enough, we've also got Neptune rather in the mix at 24 degrees. So this could be a great time for relationships, negotiations, pleasurable activities. This is party vibes right here. Like when I saw this eclipse, I was like, yeah, this is party vibes, which is why I've booked some time away. Venus is exalted in Pisces, as I've mentioned. Jupiter is naturally at home in the sign of Pisces, because this is the sign of its rulership. Neptune is the modern ruler of Pisces, and so all of these planets are very happy in the sign of Pisces. They really are doing good work here. It could be, though, a little bit too much of a good thing, so watch out for that. But I've put here, this could give us two types of energy: lushy, lustful, sexy and pleasure-seeking energy, but it could also be vanity and excess and hedonism. So you got to find a way in there, right? Also, the words "let them eat cake" come to mind here, and a part of this is because of what's happening on the wider world stage. I think those at the top are going to see a kickback. Another way this might play out is with Neptune in the mix. Some religious or spiritual revolution or evolution might sort of be set in motion at this time. And then finally, we've got a dissociated trine between Pluto at the very end of Capricorn and Mercury at 0 degrees of Gemini. So it is a trine, but it's dissociated because it's outside of the elements, but it's there by aspect. So what I put here is a harmonious blending of ideas and actions that bring tangible results through transformational ideas and actions, and the ability to uncover ideas that either harken back to the older days or things that might have worked once before, or maybe things that didn't work before but they suddenly are viable now. Don't sleep on this part of it, and I'll be mentioning this for all of the 12 signs. And then finally, at this same time, which we've had for a while, we're still going to have for a little while, and we'll have another bout of it later this year, is Saturn square in the nodes. I've put here, this isn't an energy that's new, it's been ongoing, and obviously Saturn's going to go retrograde at some point, so we'll get another pass at this, but this is creation at its most destructive. It's something being pulled apart and simultaneously rebuilt at the same time. That's the feeling that I get from that. All right, so let's get into the 12 sign breakdowns, starting with Aries. So for Aries, this eclipse is happening for you in your second house. This is a big shake-up of your money, your finances, your resources, your values, and it could also bring past opportunities, because this eclipse is but Venus, because obviously Venus is in Pisces at the moment, so because it's in your 12th house, this could bring old opportunities for finances in. It could also be some come suddenly, and you should be prepared for this because it's likely not to come again in this form. So pay attention to the opportunities that come up, and especially if they're ones to make money from old ideas, old connections, old resources. Because of that sextile to Mars between the 2nd and the 12th, powerful call to action comes up from the past and brings things into the present. As Mars is the ruler of your sign, this could also be a big realization about where you self-sabotage and how your actions are stopping you from getting ahead. It could also bring physical ailments up for review, and it might be some sort of remedial action that needs to be taken at this time in order to course correct. Venus conjunct Jupiter and Neptune in your 12th. This is a packed time for your 12th house with a lot of powerful energies, and you add this, so because you've got Jupiter in the 12th, Jupiter in the 12th house is true guardian angel energy, and as such, you obviously, you've got that in there. Your Venus, the ruler of your 2nd and 7th, something could come here. You could meet a wealthy partner or a wealthy person that truly wants to help you or be a benefactor of some sort. This could be somebody that really comes through for you in the material sense, or it could be some direct material blessing. This could be a blessing that comes through an inheritance as well. It is an eclipse, so that's just something to consider. Saturn square in the nodes between your 11th, 2nd and 8th houses. This is truly, that whole energy there is all about your resources, your value. It can also be about how you, like the values and the values and the support that you get from a community, from a set of people that you're tied to. It could be as well that maybe you come into some sort of money, and then a whole bunch of people seem to show up because they now know that you have money, as tends to be the case, right? It could also be creation, like I said, creation at its most destructive. So something being pulled apart in order to forge something new. And this could literally just be about the way that you interact with groups, social status. It could be a change of maybe you know, come into a group of wealthy friends and you feel that, and it's like, oh, you know, like these people are movers and shakers, and it forces you to level up in some way, which could actually be very good for you in the long run. And then finally, that Pluto-Mercury dissociated trine between the 10th and the 3rd. This could be a reconnection with someone that you once worked with, but it could also be the need to redevelop or represent an idea of some kind. As Mercury's at home here, he's strong and in the superior position, but you're required to really dig around into it. So you're having to really give your best rather than just kind of show up and go through the motions. Taurus, my dear Taurus. This eclipse is your eclipse. This is happening in your house, right? In your first house. So this is all to do with your body, your consciousness, your daily navigation through life. The path that you are taking through this wonderful thing that we call life is being highlighted for you. Something about you is being shunted forward at this moment in time. It could be something to do with your career, but it might also see you in new and unfamiliar territory that really forces you to level yourself up, and also how you see yourself. This could be a time really where your mind is being cleared of any doubts that you might have had about yourself, about where you're going, about whether this is the right path for you. I will say that you probably won't ever be the same from here on in, but in the best way. All right, so the eclipse sextile Mars between your 1st and 11th houses. This could bring old friends back from the past, very possible. It could also be that things get intense in a way that you kind of never expected. Whatever and whoever is being phased out now, let them go with grace. It is a sextile, so this is an opportunity that shows up for you. But remember, with sextile energy, it's like the opportunity is there, but you have to do something with it in order for it to turn into a viable one. Remember, nothing is for free with an eclipse, so you just want to be sure that it's a solid check of the fine print and manage your expectations accordingly. You know, yeah. So Venus conjunct Jupiter and Neptune in the 11th. Your 11th house is really being lit up at this moment in time. Whatever leaves now, let them go with grace, as I've said, but Venus is doing her best and her most at this point in time. So the blessings could really have a very aligned or spiritual feel to them, and it could feel like you're divinely guided to some bigger goal or aspiration. It kind of feels for me like whatever your biggest dreams and goals were that connect you to the world, Jupiter is there kind of saying, no, not enough, bigger, think bigger, think bigger. This kind of energy for me speaks to the 3 of Wands, which is where your vision is needing to be expanded. You have to think bigger than you currently are. Saturn square in the nodes between your 10th house, your 1st and your 7th. Your personal ties and connections are being highlighted by the South node. And again, that's all about endings. The 1st house is you, your outlook and yourself. But this feels to me like it's softening you in some way. It's making you kinder, more considerate, you know, less Le Toro and a bit more like Venus. You know, it's, but this is towards yourself as well. So that sort of critical nature where you demand and expect so much of yourself could be softening now. And as Saturn is the anchor in the career sector, it's a growth spurt that happens that's not going to be easy, because with great power comes great responsibility. And it needs a more thoughtful, no matter how progressive sort of energy behind it, because it is, Saturn's in its rulership in Aquarius, but it's still giving that kind of, if we're going to progress, let it be in a way that is sustainable. Partnerships might require more from you than you have to give at this moment in time, or that you want to give. So just something to think about. The Pluto-Mercury dissociated trine between the 9th and the 2nd. It's a harmonious aspect that could see a successful outcome to any legal matters or cases that you've had, especially where money or resources are involved. If there's something that you want or need to have refunded, this is the time to go after it. And one of the other ways that this could show up, if you are parting ways with a partner or maybe getting a divorce, etc., this could see it happening very amicably, where everybody wins, everybody gets something. Also, that Pluto trine Mercury might bring considerations about an international move, or at least some form of international business. Travel connections to foreign places that enhance your earning potential could come up at this time, and it's a great time to think about publishing, launching ideas or websites or books or anything of that nature out into the world, and they could be very lucrative for you. Gemini. All right, so this eclipse for you, conjunct Uranus, is in the 12th house. This is a karmic reboot. For me personally, when we have a solar eclipse or a brand new beginning in the 12th house, this is like that house for you is now being sort of really, it's like it's already been flushed out, and now this house is being filled with something new. So it's like, now that if I said to you, this is a time where you're getting to refill your karmic vault, and you can fill it with whatever you want. You'd probably do your best to fill it with good things, right? This could be that sort of moment. This could be a chance to clear out old psychic baggage, any spells or works or anything that you've done in the past. This would be a time to break those, right? Chuck them in the fire and be ready to move on. A time where your past may be very present at this moment. People, things, situations, old ideas, ideologies, thought patterns and processes. This could also be a powerful spiritual time of life that allows you to release some old hurts or self-sabotaging tendencies. As it's being hosted by Venus in your 10th house, watch out for old career challenges or issues that have a chance to be released or even rectified altogether. This could be also a powerful time of healing for you, but it requires a really deep, honest look and an expression of the subject matter. So this could be a great moment of catharsis, but in order to have it, it's like you can't just do the surface chatter that Gemini is known for, right? And that's not to say that you guys can't get deep. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is, if you want this deep healing, you have to be prepared to go in that deep and talk about what your real wounds are, what your real challenges are, what your real hurts have been. If you bring those out through the throat and out into the world, it's like the universe takes that, hears it and burns it up, and it just kind of literally disappears. For the eclipse sextile Mars between your 12th and your 10th, Mars has a severing or sort of excitation kind of energy about it. And as the ruler of your 11th house, this could be a friend or an acquaintance of some sort that offers some amazing, fantastic insights to your career that really help you move on. So, and it might be uncomfortable. It might be that they say to you, yeah, you know what, you're really good at this, you're really good at this, but actually you're editing and your spell checking absolutely sucks, and you really need to get on top of that because it's letting the whole thing down. So it's like you get this really amazing info that helps you sort of move forward, but it comes with a bit of a moment of like, ooh, okay, that was okay, easy, all right, I get it. It might also be that you've talked to somebody, might be something that you've talked about some time ago, but it now has the chance of success because new people are coming in to help you build this idea or this dream. This could be an honest look at where maybe your social butterflying has been too limited to a certain type of person. So this is a chance to really break out of the current cycles of interaction that you're in, and that new stimulus of people. It may not agree with you. You know, these new people might not agree with you. They might say some stuff to you that feels like a bit like, oh, you know, fuck you and the horse that you rode in on. But through hearing that, it's like, okay, yeah, you know what, that was a bit harsh, or it hit me a certain way, but actually now I can see this and I can move past it. Venus conjunct Jupiter and Neptune all in the 12th. Career house is packed, right? So you are really being highlighted in a big way at the moment, and blessed in a big way as well. This can be amazing for your career, making a name for yourself, getting yourself out there, people seeing you favorably, like that persona that you present out to the world. That's the 10th house. Your social status, your social standing, like how people receive you, can also grant you a sense of purpose, or at least a leaning and a spiritual inkling at what your next purpose in life might be, and for some of you maybe even beyond. So don't take this lightly in the career stuff. Yes, it's going to feel great and it's going to feel wonderful and aligned, but if you really do the work, you could be setting yourself up for a very long-term boost to your career. Saturn square in the nodes between the 9th, the 6th and the 12th. A deeper understanding of how your body is bearing the brunt of your daily choices. Are you eating right? Are you exercising? Are you indulging in too much vino, a substance, if you're that kind of person? Sorry, that sounded really judgmental and I didn't actually mean it like that way. What I meant was, like, if you're somebody that likes to indulge or to sample and experiment, etc., like, more power to you. But this square between Saturn and the nodes, it could be highlighting to you where maybe the after effects are starting to show. That's what I meant, sorry. Could also be a time where you're thinking about communing with the gods through some sort of mind-altering substance. If you were ever going to do, like a mushroom ceremony or ayahuasca or anything like that, that square between the nodes and Saturn is definitely a possibility. But what it gives you is a promise that if you're going to approach that, it has to be done in reverence. You're going to have to do it with a very serious mind and a very respectful soul. Also, are there any scores to be settled in your life? Any debts that you feel might be required that are owed to you or need to be paid? This is a time to think about, severing those ties. And then the Pluto trine Mercury between your 8th and your 1st. This is some deep considerations about karmic debts, bonds or ties. It might also be something very painful or deep that comes to the surface, but it's about... and it might be something to do with a loved one or a family member, but it could also be something that you've carried for a very long time and been very silent about. For some of you, this could be about why you self-medicate and what the reason or the purpose behind that is. So, this whole thing about catharsis and cleansing and really speaking things out into the light of day has a lot of weight. For Cancer, this is in your 11th house. So when you're ready, you can have quite a ruthless editing of your lifescape. This is the thing. Cancer, everyone talks about Cancer like, oh, it's warm and fluffy and light and all the rest of it. But did you know that if a crab is threatened or it's stuck in a situation that it deems to be dangerous, it will snap one of its own legs off to get out of that situation? So Cancer has this ability to kind of, when they need to cut something off or out, they will do so. This is when that you and your space, and when you and your space are toxic, really, and it's one of the deepest sort of truths of Cancer. So this eclipse is offering a powerful and decidedly frank look at your friendships and your connections in that way, and what they either say about you or for you. How do your connections, your ties on the wider world stage, on, in life, in business, in work, in friendship, how do these things affect you and how do they show you to people? Could bring sudden connections through social media, might also bring new group associations that really help you soar out into the world and shine big time. It could also show you where in your life you're ready for an upgrade in terms of larger dreams, hopes, goals and visions. This could be a time where you realize where you've been playing small and where you're ready to no longer do so. So the eclipse sextile Mars between the 11th house and the 9th house, this is a catalyzing energy, right? So what I like about this, it will give you what you need to make a powerful change or adjustment, but it'll also see you getting really honest and really maybe even a little bit aggressive as well about presenting your ideas into the world. And it's kind of like that "this is me" kind of energy, which I'm all here for, right? I'm absolutely all here for, but it could be a little bit intense nonetheless. If you're planning to move or to immigrate or change locations, this is a deeply supportive energy for that, and those plans are likely to be heightened or exacerbated as a result of this, and you could feel it like a really powerful push or a pull. Suggests that you'll be more determined than ever to get the results that you want or need. In other senses, it might be the right time to launch anything like a blog or a book or a YouTube channel, something that sees you being really honest about what you want and how to achieve those bigger sort of daring goals and dreams. Venus conjunct Jupiter and Neptune in your 9th house, so your 9th house is very lit up at the moment. Such an emphasis of blessings in the 9th, and one of the ways that I typify this, the 9th house is kind of like the house of where you connect to the cosmos, where you connect to God, the universe, Allah, Buddha, Chi, whatever you want to call it. This is how, and so by really speaking to that and building, maybe not even a daily practice, but building a true pathway or connection to what you perceive to be the divine could be very powerful at the moment. What I've also got here as well is you're being called by the universe now, and it's time for you to listen because your blessings await at the other end of that conversation. It's kind of like that, you know, let's say you've got an eccentric old aunt who's left you everything in her will, but you never go to see her, so you don't know it. And then one day when certain things show up, you're like, oh, you know, I didn't even know I was entitled to this. Those could have been bigger. All right, maybe. So I guess what I'm trying to say to you is if you never have that conversation with the universe, how can you ask for the blessings that you desire? Can you be open enough to speak to the heavens, to ask for all that you need, or to enter into a pact with the universal God mind and uphold your end of that bargain or that pact? Saturn square in the nodes between the 8th, 11th and 5th. Saturn in the 8th, I feel, is actually a very nice transit because I kind of feel like it puts a limitation on all the heavy stuff that's found in that 8th house. So it kind of insulates us from some of the heavy crap that we get from the 8th house. So it kind of allows you to take a bit of a breath. It can be a challenge to your finances and your money that comes from others, but it can also get you paying more attention to your inner sort of deeper psychological makeup. Square into the 11th and the 5th. Are you giving yourself enough time? Are you having enough fun? Are you having enough enjoyment? Do you have a social circle? And if not, what are you ready to start doing about building one? So Pluto trine Mercury in that dissociated trine you got between the 7th and the 12th. Past relationship challenges are or ongoing ones are laid to rest at this moment. Could be a return of a deeper bond and a connection to a partner, but it could also be the airing out of secret desires of yours or your partner's. So this could be a time where you and your partner are talking about maybe some of the stuff that you want to do or some of the stuff that you do want to connect with or over. It could be a sort of new level of intimacy and sexuality that has a transcendent quality to it, but it's like because you're speaking about your deepest desires, you're connecting to each other on a deeper level because you know a new level of each other. Sex and sensuality, when used in a conscious way, can be very healing, very powerful, and powerfully cleansing at that. Not like, you know, dirty and seedy and all the rest of it, but deeply connective, potent, and magical. This could be new agreements that are reached with partners now, and maybe even new business partners as well. It doesn't have to be intimate. They could take on new exponential growth through honesty and integrity because it's built on revealing everyone's truest motives. So when it comes to potential, you know, business partners, etc., this is the time to really be honest and clear about what you want and what you expect, and also to hear people for exactly what they express their wants are. And by respecting each other for that, you actually get so much more out of it, which, you know, could actually be really nice. So Leo, for you, my dear Leos, my ascendant brothers and sisters, this is happening in your 10th house. So this your eclipse conjunct Uranus. This is a big one for you because it's happening in the most open and most displayed part of your chart. Like this is you on the wider world stage, how people see you. So to give you an example from myself, You know, this would be like, for me in my chart, this would literally be my YouTube channel, my YouTube presence. This is how everybody knows me, interacts with me and sees me. You know, that's not my family, etc. It's not just your career, it's your social status. It's how the world sees you. This is where people get to see you in all that you do, all that you present, how your personality is. It can be also, you know, with this, because it's such an open energy and it's a brand new beginning here with that Uranian element. This could be a sudden sort of like, surprise, you're on stage. And you turn around and you're like, there's a whole bunch of people and there's a set of bright lights and you're like, yeah, okay, this is awkward. You know, it's one thing to be to know this, but it can bring a feeling of vulnerability. So if you feel that around this time or as a result of it, it wouldn't be a surprise, especially if you suddenly find yourself being more prominent. Maybe your face is more all over the place, or people are seeing you more. It could be all of that. So this is going to be a big moment in your life, for you, my dear Leos, because over the next 6 months or so, it's going to potentially be stratospheric. So no pressure. Could also see you doing something very new, very novel or exciting. That's the Uranian element to this. It could also involve technology in some way. You could be branching out into some new or exciting, really, you know, big ways that sort of challenge you, but in the best way. Sextile to Mars, so between your 10th house and your 8th house, there's a call to action here that comes with partnering up with other people, connecting to people, networking. It's also a time where your connections to others can reveal hidden opportunities for wealth or support. It might also be releasing some old hurts or wounds around sexuality and sensuality. You know, so any of you that know me know I came out quite late and it was a whole mess. You know, it was one day I might tell that story, but it was really hard. It was really painful. It caused a lot of rifts in my family. And that is something that, you know, I'll never get that time back. There were 5 years of my life where I never spoke to a big chunk of my family because of the whole thing. And it was really painful. And so this, you know, this could be the writing of something like that. It also speaks to me of secret desires that might not have had any room to exist. So for those of you that are, I don't know, maybe just starting out with your business and you say to yourself, you know what, I want to be a millionaire, but you're afraid to say that because of how it might come across or how people might see you. This is a way for you to own what you want on that career level and maybe even on a deeper, intimate level as well, and not be afraid or ashamed of it. All right, so this can be a little tense, but it's a sextile, which means there are good opportunities here, but it can also require action because Mars is requiring action. And sextiles ask you to look for the opportunities in whatever shows up for you. Venus conjunct Jupiter and Neptune in the 8th house. So your 8th house is really being lit up at this time, which is going to be a little bit intense. It is going to see some of your, you know, deeper stuff being maybe brought to the surface. Venus in the 8th is a healer. Jupiter in the 8th is a healer as well. They both do very good work here. They're both in, so Venus is in the sign of her exaltation, Jupiter is in his home sign, and Neptune is the modern ruler of this sign. So this could be a powerful and cathartic spiritual healing experience where some wounds on the inside just kind of really get flushed away or washed away at this moment, which could be really beautiful. It's sexual, it's spiritual, it's financial. There's blessings here in all areas. There could be money coming in. This is big win money as well, right? This is play the lotto money. This is, you get an investor that wants to give you 50K. Like, and you know what? Dare to dream big here. Don't limit yourself and say, like, oh, well, you know, who's going to do that for me? Or who wants to? Don't do that. Don't shoot the blessings down. Like, hear this and say to yourself, okay, you know what? I'm open for those big wins, whatever they might be. It's also could bring potential partners that have a deeply spiritual take on sexuality and sensuality. So you could meet a partner at this time if you're looking, or as a result of this eclipse, that really speaks to you in that sort of very deep, very sensual kind of way. This is the ability to merge with the occult, the eldritch world, so the other world could be speaking to you very powerfully at this time and from this time forward. So this could be this is a time for when they bring blessings and boons from the other world or the other realm. Be sure to be thankful, honest, and respectful. This is a powerful time of profound healing, deep psychological change. Could be of sexual wounds or traumas as well, for those of you that have suffered those kinds of things. Can be a very intense moment of healing as well, that almost feels like once it's done, you just feel like hollowed out, like, whoa, you know, but in the best kind of way. Then you could be replenished with the life-giving waters of blessings that come through connections and career, or even a partner that feels truly like your other half. So as much as is being pulled out of you at this time in a very healing way, straight after you're going to be poured into, and that space within you that feels hollowed out is filled with, you know, light and abundance and joy and happiness. Saturn square in the nose between the 7th, the 4th and the 10th. This is a story that's been playing out for a while. It's not done yet, but it could be finding a way to have it all that doesn't see any aspect of your life, of having to suffer. So it's like, you know, being able to do the career, being able to be there for your partner and your loved one, and also being there for your family at the same time. It might also be a time where the partnership or the relationship that you want can only be yours if you're in integrity. And then sometimes it's what we actually want more. Sometimes what we want is actually more about what we're prepared to give for those things in order to have them. Finally, the Pluto trine Mercury between the 6th and the 11th. This is going to be could bring big shifts in consciousness around your physical body and your health. Might be a realization that your wealth and your health are not just linked, but they are actually one in the same. Big stuff there. Big stuff there. This is about fixing and looking after your health in a way that allows you to enjoy all of the wonderful blessings that are going to come in for you from this time. So your money is going to start flowing in much better after this eclipse, but you need to be around and you have to be healthy enough to enjoy it, right? So do that work. Your career goals are going to shift, and the higher aspirations that you have for your life are now being revealed to be something slightly different to what you expected them to be. Virgo, my dear Virgos. So you are doing this, Virgo, in your 9th house. So this eclipse conjunct Uranus. This is a place where the higher philosophies, the higher mind of the world, and also the universal construct. So it's called the house of God. But this is where you connect to what you perceive to be God. It's your belief structures and your the way that you believe, the things that you believe, and what you perceive to be all of that. It's a very future orientated house. So the fact that you've got Uranus happening there as well, this really feels for me like you're getting some big understanding of how your future is likely to be planned out, and you're starting to map that in a really powerful way. This is also a really lucky house as well, so this could bring spontaneous blessings of some kind. It's the house of travel and or education, and higher education at that. So this could be new connections that come in from overseas, especially with things like online groups, you know, social connections, things like that. It's the house of travel, like I said. A new run of international clients and connections could come in from this. Could also set in motion a new path of some kind towards higher learning, and that might happen really suddenly. Like some of you might decide, hey, you know what, I'm going back to school. I'm going to get my degree. I'm going to get my master's. I'm going to, I don't know, upgrade the skills that I have, and then, you know, start a community of some sort. It might even happen in your life that you decide to deepen your knowledge on a subject, and you might be really frustrated with what's available to you at this time. So it's kind of like you want to study something, and then you look at the curriculum and you're like, well, I know all of this stuff, you know, where's the depth, where's the more? And so you could go about sort of creating something that fulfills that gap or that need for other people, which is, you know, great. Can expedite legal matters and or proceedings. So if you've got any going on, this could bring them sort of to an abrupt halt or end, but it could just as easily be that they are they're highlighted in a big way. So the eclipse sextile Mars between the 9th and the 7th, an opportunity to learn as a result of this eclipse. But I get the feeling that this is going to be about like between you and a teacher, and it's like a teacher or a mentor could come in at this time, and maybe they're a bit more like a drill sergeant. Maybe they're like really hard on you and they push you, you know, maybe even they goad you a little bit, because remember, Mars is a part of this. And it brings that excitation and that irritation. So they could give you the challenge that you need to really push you on to another level. It could be as well that maybe you become the mentor or the teacher, and you're frustrated with the way that certain things have been taught or offered. And so you go on this sort of mini crusade to start breaking down some of what you believe to be crap knowledge out there about your subject. A powerful time of learning can also bring new connections or partnerships, and ones that highlight what it means to be a student. It could also be a call to action in order to gain people's favor or support. You might have to show up and even fight for it a little. Venus conjunct Jupiter and Neptune in your 7th. Relationships, partnerships, connections, collaborations are all being highlighted massively for you at this time. Your 7th house is packed. It's being spiritualized, sweetened, made more magical in some way. I'm really here for this. I just think it's lovely. If you're looking to find love, this is about connecting to someone that has the potential to be a very big part of your life from here on in. And there will be an element of this person that it's like they just seem to fit your life. And it's not that they bend over backwards for you, you know, because it's not going to be that. Your true life partner, I've said this before, your true soulmate or twin flame, if I have to use those words, they're not the person that comes in and just bows in front of you and gives you everything that you want. They expose all of your crap, they call you on all of your shit, and they still love you at the end of all of it. So, you know, yes, it's a little bit dreamy, a little bit over the top, very possible. Has the potential to go a long way or all the way. Either way, all partnerships are being highlighted, and they're made marvelous at this time. Like they really, really are. Like you could really be connecting to some amazing partnerships right now. So Saturn square in the nodes, between your 6th, your 3rd and your 9th. For some of you, this could be discovering a new location to work out. It could be really mundane like that. It could be also a new understanding of what your body actually needs and where your local environment is either supporting or enhancing that, or actually it's just not conducive. Like, you know, if you live with a bloody giant electric pylon right outside your house, and you know, realize, oh, you know, I'm having problems sleeping. Well, I wonder why. This could be something like that. I've also got here as well, this could be what I've put here is, I recently got my blood group, so I've found out things that I should and shouldn't be eating for that. And maybe, just maybe, you could get something out of that too. You know me, I love a little tinfoil hat moment. So I just thought I'd share that with you. But finding alternatives or new ways to learn about health could really help you at the moment. Pluto trine Mercury between the 5th and the 9th, and Mercury, obviously your ruler, is in the 10th house for you in this specific chart. So Pluto in your 5th is transforming your ideas of fun, creativity. You might have started when Pluto went into Capricorn in 2008, you might have started this transit as like a proper party animal and all the rest of it, and now you're just like, oh, you know what, I can't even imagine staying out beyond 10:30. You know, it could have really changed some of your ideas around that. Could also see for some of you falling in love with a teacher and or a student, so watch out for that. Outside of that, children could play a massive role in bringing more joy and happiness and communication and laughter into your life from here on in. Mercury, your ruler in the 10th house, could be a heads up that whatever changes in your life and social standing could impact your partnerships and your children and the ability for you all to enjoy life. Being hugely famous isn't always a blessing. For Libra, you have this eclipse in your 8th house. So an eclipse in the 8th house is a spicy eclipse, okay? It's got a whole bunch of meanings, and obviously because this is a fresh start or a go over in some way, it can be intense. It could be a really big new beginning in your psychological makeup. It might also be a deeper understanding of what makes you tick. So this might be a time from here on in where you really start to get more acquainted with who you are at those deeper levels and why you do some of the things that you do. Could see you drawn more towards some of the more taboo subjects of life. Maybe you start reading sort of deep erotica. Maybe you start reading sort of, you know, things about war, and maybe you start, you know, really looking at, you know, can be more drawn to sort of things like conspiracy theories and stuff like that, but also uncovering mysteries. And everything in life has an element of mystery to it. So anything that has that kind of feel to it, you'll be very drawn to from now on. This is also the place of the occult. So interested in the deeper questions of life, you know, astrology, tarot, numerology, human design, things that really help you get into that deep analysis of a person, you know, could all be very, very alluring to you at this time. Wouldn't surprise me with this strong Libra energy that you suddenly find yourself having weird and wonderful experiences that beg to be explored through the occult sort of sciences. So that could be great, right? Also delving into your psyche through occult and psychic means. So the eclipse to Mars between the 8th and the 6th, sextiling Mars, should I say, between the 8th and the 6th. This could see you doing what I tend to call romancing the ordinary. If the 6th house is the house of drudgery, where you're having to, you know, wash your clothes and clean your car and, you know, scrub up the house and make sure you eat right and make sure you exercise and look after your health and your sort of well-being, that's the drudgery and the everyday. With that sextile to Mars, because of and that 8th house 6th house connection, this could be where you try to infuse your daily life with some more spirituality, with a bit more of that occult magical flavor. This could be a great time for building a daily spiritual practice, you know, one that is more along the lines of mundane or sympathetic magic versus, or maybe even astrological magic, versus kind of, you know, sitting and praying and prostrating yourself and all of that. This could be more about bringing magic into the everyday. What else have I got here as well? As Mars, the ruler of your 7th, is in the 6th house, this might be a good time to take a look at partnerships that can assist you with building such a practice. So finding new connections that will show you how to weave magic into your everyday experience. For the Venus conjunct Jupiter and Neptune, this is all your 6th house is really lit up right now. So your body and your daily routines are suddenly easier, smoother, and you get much better results. So, you know, from now on, if you've been slogging away at a health regime and just kind of like, yeah, I lost 3 pounds after 6 months of starving myself and exercising every day, this could be where you see big results really quickly, which could be great. It could also be a new pet that comes into your life that brings much love and connection to source. It could be a time where maybe, you know, if you're interested in that sort of thing, maybe a familiar, maybe a pet becomes a familiar and vice versa. A powerful time of reaping rewards in this area of ease and support. And if you're on a healing journey, this could be a time where you're divinely guided to the right therapist, the right doctor, somebody who, you know, really knows all of their Western stuff, but has a really good mind for all of the esoteric and all the rest of it. You could find somebody that really helps you on all levels of self, which could be wonderful. Saturn square in the nodes between your 5th, 2nd and 8th, your money, other people's resources, and where the two come together are being highlighted. What you value and how you value yourself and your services and what you give to other people and whether that seems fair is being highlighted for you. If you've got children, there's a strong sense that your children could be getting very expensive to support. Not that they're ever not, but this could be a time where you're kind of like, okay, you know, if they're old enough, excuse me, if they're old enough, this could be a time where you're saying, okay, you know what, you're going to have to start supporting yourself a little. And if they're not, maybe you're starting to think about, you know, budgets and, you know, what can be done. This could also be where you're getting serious about what love and romance means to you. Pluto trine Mercury between your 4th and your 9th. Pluto has slowly been changing and obliterating how you view your home and family. Trine to Mercury, this could be some big talks or conversations about your own higher learning or your children's. So, you know, if they want to go on to university, etc. For some of you, it's also, this could be what an international move actually looks like or what it might entail. Scorpio, this is a big deal for you guys because it's happening in your 7th house, right opposite the sky. So again, that's an angular house, so it's a big deal for you. Partnerships, relationships, connections, all of the energy is focused on changing your relationships in general, but because it's a solar eclipse, it can bring in a fated partner. So if you're single and looking, as a result of and after this eclipse over the next 3 to 6 months, somebody could come into your life that feels like they're supposed to be there, that you are teaching each other things, that you're learning stuff from each other that really feels like, you know what, yes, this is why this is the person in my life at the moment. It could also be a work or a professional partnership. It doesn't have to be intimate. It could also be a new living situation, especially because it's squaring Saturn in the 4th, at least by a whole sign square. Also for this as well, it feels like you could be meeting someone in the digital sphere and spark up a real connection using technology a lot more in order to connect to people and in new and exciting ways. So, you know, this is a really good time for business partnerships that have like an online presence or where you're collaborating with other people in the online sphere. It could also be as well, for those of you that are already partnered, married or in long-term commitments, the relationship takes on a new weight. It's going in new directions. So the eclipse sextile to Mars between the 7th and 5th. It's sextile your ruler Mars in the sign of Pisces. There's an opportunity here to connect with someone and have true romance in the sexy, sensual, absolutely, possibly even a very spiritual way, but maybe even in a deeper way. And I say that even to you as a Scorpio, right? Which is saying something. It could have more weight to it. And maybe this is because you're feeling like you've already purged so much with the South Node in your sign. There's been so many things that you're already releasing. And as a result of that, you could come into this realization of, wow, now that I've dropped all these other old layers of myself, I understand what it is that I truly need from a partner. And maybe you discover that what that partner actually looks like then is nothing like anybody that you've dated up until this point and is something completely different. And then you could kind of say, okay, now I get it. For those of you that are partnered, married or in long-term relationships and you're happy, this could be literally you and your partner deepening that bond, and you feel this need to bring more fun and enjoyment and excitement into your lives, and possibly for some of you even to think about starting a family. You know, beautiful, really, really beautiful. Could also be a good time to spend with children if you have them. Great time to really connect to loved ones and children because there's a lot of laughter. And even if they're older, this could be a time where you and a business idea and your children come into play. Venus conjunct Jupiter and Neptune in the 5th. Your 5th house is being really highlighted. I mean, this is so great for love and joy and playfulness and happiness, and it's like honey in the 5th house, right? It's just like there's this really sort of sensual, fun, sort of joyous energy about it. It's powerful. It's a time of lucky breaks, spiritual blessings, and potentially more romance than you ever thought possible. It really kind of is that special, I think, anyway. Saturn square in the nodes between your 4th, 1st and 7th houses. Your home and family life is kind of being challenged here, and how you show up and advocate for yourself versus what you give to other people is also being highlighted. This could be a time where your partner demands more from you, and that kind of feels like it's pulling you in a certain way, and then your home and family life, or at least your roots, is also demanding more of your time and your effort. The ties that bind will be ever present at this point, and you'll probably be really feeling that, like, I'm torn in so many different directions right now. Finally, the Pluto trine Mercury between the 3rd and the 8th. This could be a time where you're transforming your daily structures and maybe even your skill set. For some of you, this might be talks about a new car or a new vehicle. For some of you, this could be maintenance work that you're doing on a website. It could also be that you're starting to talk more about exploring new ways of applying skills and your personal brand of magic. It could also be a very deep conversation that is most illuminating. So yeah, interesting. For Sagittarius, this is happening in your 6th house. This is all to do with this is your house of body maintenance, your health, your well-being. It's bringing your attention and awareness to your body and its cleansing. This will be a really good time for you to think about doing some form of a detox. It would be a great time for you to think about ways of cleaning up your space, doing maintenance work on your body, your home, your car, your vehicle, maybe even your business if you have one. Could also be a powerful time of healing. Even if you're not necessarily sick, you might discover new methods of healing, eating and keeping yourself healthy that are novel and exciting. So this could be things like biohacking. It could be things like I want to say Tantra, but I'm not sure that really comes under this wheelhouse, but for some reason it's coming up, so I'm going with it. This is a time where, certainly from here right through until the 2nd eclipse in November and beyond, this is a time where your body truly is your messenger. So you have to pay attention. If it tells you that it doesn't like this person that you're standing next to, get away from them. If it tells you, oh, you know what, I ate that last night and my tummy's really unhappy, stop eating that food. If you're coming out in a rash and you think, oh, you know what, I just changed my fabric softener, get rid of it. This is a really powerful time where your body is super sensitive, and that is how we experience the world. So listen to it. New therapies and new technologies for looking after your body could feature from here on in as well. For some of you as well, this could also be new pets, new animals that come in. What else can I say about the 6th as well? This might also be a time where you realize that you actually have an enemy of some sort, and you may not have even been aware of it. It might just be like, wait, what? We clashed? We did? Yeah, okay. Just possible. The eclipse sextile to Mars between your 6th and your 4th house. This is an initiatory energy towards finding a new home that I've been seeing in a lot of tarot reads for Sagittarius. Could also be a time where you're finding a place that feels like home and it resonates with you because you're being like your physical self just feels, this is where I'm supposed to be. This place is where I want to live. This is, you know, like you're feeling it in a really visceral way. As it's a sextile, you're encouraged to start delving into where you feel like you could express the most of who you are. That's the secret to picking a home, right? Go and check out the area, go and check out the place, go and see how you actually feel in your body in that place. That's going to really get you to understand, yeah, I'm supposed to be here because I feel settled here. As an example, so what I put here is an example for me. So I would want to live next to a town or city, but not in it. I'm not a city boy. I am a hobbit by my very nature. I need to be able to see grass and trees. I need to be able to put my toes in the grass or the sand or in the water, or all of the above if possible. So I would go and check out places like that. This is a time for you to start really defining what the place that you need to live in to feel comfortable is going to be. Exploring this right now could come easily, and an invite could make all the difference. This could be that you go and visit a friend or a family member, and when you get there you just think, yeah, you know what, I could live here like this, you know, not for all of you, but it's possible. Venus conjunct Jupiter and Neptune in the fourth. Your home and family is being lit up, and it's being brightened with blessings, ease and abundance. I love this for you guys. It's just, I kind of feel like this is the payoff and the payout that a lot of Saggies have been waiting for after all the hard work and effort and, you know, fucking downright slog that a lot of you have put in. This could be where these, you know, these juicy, meaty blessings start showing up for you in the home sector. So I'm really happy about that. Bringing a lot of gorgeous vibes to the home and living situation, and can actually be very lucky for all things property. Especially because it's sextile to that Mars. This could also be a time, like if you want to get out of a place sooner than your lease will allow, this could see where you're able to break one and kind of say, okay, you know what, I'm able to get out sooner. For your, also what I've put here as well, and this is really important. If you ever see any of these things, like over the next, from the eclipse onwards, if you ever see something like where it's like, oh, win this £1 million home, or, you know, win this, like anything to do with competitions and property and winning a home or an apartment or anything like that, your chances to succeed with this are heightened. So jump in, like this is stuff to put your hat in on. Because that house, that fourth house, is where your true big blessings are at the moment. So Saturn square in the nodes between your 3rd house, 12th house and 6th house. Again, been in the background. So the 12th, 6th house axis to me is, it's a maintenance axis. The 12th house is your mental, emotional and spiritual maintenance. The 6th house is your physical, you know, material maintenance. With Saturn square in those nodes, this is you getting rid of some of your inner baggage that really helps your inner sort of, it's like, you know, when you release some of your inner stuff, you feel it physically and you're like, oh yeah, you know what, I needed that. This could be a time to do that kind of thing. Especially if you've got any sort of pain and or trauma sort of locked in your body. So you guys all know a while back I had a really bad back, which is one of the reasons that I wasn't on camera. And I had my back adjusted in like twice in the space of 4 days. And I tell you, once I'd had the first one, I was like, okay, yeah, it's a little better. The second one, I was like, oh my God. Like, I had to lay still for a minute because I was like, no, this, it felt great. But at the same time, I was like, something's wrong. And then over the week that followed, a lot of internal stuff really started to shift for me. And so this could be something like that. Pluto trine Mercury in that dissociated trine between your 2nd house and 7th. Be prepared to talk about what you really value and what you can make money from in a partnership. This could also be where you're either not using your network effectively, or partnerships aren't yielding what they could because you're not really speaking about what needs to be done. All right, so as it's a trine, don't waste the energy. We tend to be a bit lazy with trines because it's an easy energy. So it's like, oh well, this is easy, it's harmony, so you know, I'll just let it flow. If you can lean into a trine, you get some really great energy out of it. Whichever way the wind is blowing in your finances, where do you feel ready to up level and switch it up a gear? Capricorn, so in your 5th house, this eclipse is happening for you. The house of children, pleasure, joy, speculative gambling, the places, you know, all the things that happen to come with a little bit of risk with them is all found in the 5th house. This could see you being a bit more bold, a bit more daring over the next 5 months about, you know, maybe speaking up more about what you want in romance, in love, because this is all found in the 5th house. This could also see you deciding to chase after some creative project or a personal business idea. And it's like, this could be something new, novel, exciting for you. And it could be something potentially that involves the online world because it's conjunct Uranus. So there's that technological kind of element to it, but it could see you being a lot bolder and saying, you know what? I'm going to invest in that. Or, you know, like obviously do your research. I'm not a financial advisor, but because you've got this eclipse in the 5th, that's a house of speculative gambling and or investments. So this is a time to really lean into that kind of thing. Could make you a little bit braver, and also could see you taking a few very well calculated risks, because after all you are Capricorns. So you know, it's just an eclipse. You're not suddenly going to start being reckless, but it's creative, it's fun, it's easy. Venus is ruling this, and so it's exalted in your 3rd house, which means it's making you chatty and flirty. It's giving you that social butterfly energy where you can mix and mingle and interact. You could be a lot more social than people have seen from you in a while, and this might really excite and heighten your experience, and it might also really excite and enhance you. If you're single, you could definitely be meeting someone in your own location. This will be like really close. If that's not your thing, it also means that your creative endeavors are blessed right now. This is a time to break your own mold, right? Whatever you've been known for up until now, this is a time to break out of that, and I promise you it will be fun. Eclipse sextile Mars in between the 5th house and the 3rd. You've got new opportunities for work and play. This could also be a time where you're deciding to enhance or increase your knowledge and skills in a certain area, particularly practical ones. Things like design, painting, decorating, interior design, all of those things could be getting a look in. This could be for some of you things like web design as well. You could be starting to think about, right, okay, you know what's a new skill that I can take on board here that's actually going to be very lucrative and could potentially really help me too. It could also be, yeah, if you're meeting someone, it's likely to be in your local area. You know, maybe at the gym, maybe at the supermarket. Because the 5th house is involved, you're probably doing something that you really enjoy. So that will have an element to it. Opportunities for more fun and enjoyment through your local community. Also through siblings, if you have them. For some of you, this could be a time where you're needing to get a new car. Extra delights and blessings could be doing very well through school and academia. And for those of you that have kids, your children could be really doing very well at work, you know, with their studies, etc. And this could really delight you. Proud mama and papa Cappies. Venus conjunct Jupiter and Neptune in your 3rd house. So it's in a lot of ways it's highlighting and bringing ease and harmony here, but this could see one of your siblings, because it's the 3rd house, this could see one of your siblings doing really well with something. And this means it's kind of like that, you know, the blessings roll downhill. So maybe a sibling wins some money, or they come into a gift of some sort and you get the benefit of it because they're sharing it with you. If you've had any issues or challenges with siblings, this could be a healing balm, and it brings some sort of release or ease to a problem. It might also give you a deep insight into what needs to shift in order for that relationship to be healed. Because the eclipse is involved in this as well. Some of you could discover a sibling that you didn't know you had. If you're looking to acquire new skills in the workplace, use this eclipse to initiate such things, because they can take you far and last and bring big rewards later down. Squaring of the nodes with Saturn between the 2nd, the 11th and the 5th. It's going to improve finances, absolutely, but you might be expected to do work or, you know, things that you hadn't really factored in order to make this happen. Might see you shifting your ideas towards some of your bigger goals, and maybe this is coming through a sense of really valuing yourself more, you know, to say, well, actually, in order to have more of what I'm looking for, more of what I want, I'm going to have to see me as more valuable. There's a clarity and an honesty that's coming through that's also allowing you to break free of what's been holding you back in order to get into motion and new endeavors. This Pluto trine Mercury between the 1st and the 6th, frank discussions about chores, daily routines, who's doing what or not doing anything at home. could be coming up. This might also be that you're having to set a record straight with a colleague at work, where you're having to kind of set a boundary and say, hang on a sec, you know, that's an overstep, or actually I think you're starting to pry. As it's a trine, it could be that you sort of feel more settled in your workplace, you know, after what's been a pretty tumultuous period. And it could also be a time where you're starting to think about how you can get more from your efforts when it comes to work. For Aquarius, all right, so this for you is a big deal because it's happening in your 4th house. So my ascendant brothers and sisters, your home and family sector. I'm an Aquarius sun, as many of you know, has taken a beating over this last few months. I'm pretty sure that you guys have felt it, whether you're a sun, moon, or sun, moon, or rising sign Aquarius. I'm pretty sure you, since gosh, what, January of 2021, it's just been relentless. So I feel you on this, but I got some good news for you, right? It's been real. Since the nodal shift, you'll have felt things building up steam and really causing havoc. But I'm telling you that this event, like this eclipse, is wonderful, and it's going to bring some really lovely stuff in. Yes, there's still going to be challenges. Life is life after all, but there are good things to come. All right. So this is going to be an intense one because it's in the foundation or the deepest personal part of our lives. And I believe that it's even more so than like the 8th or the 12th, because the 4th house it's the stuff that you directly emotionally experience and the things that hit you in that very deep space. So that being said, it's going to initiate a move, probably a change of home life and circumstances. For some of you, this could be triggering a birth or a pregnancy, or the welcoming in or the expansion of the family in some way. It's truly blessed, fertile energy that's coming into the home, which is gorgeous. It could be as simple as you get new appliances and gadgets in the home, but it could just as easily be that a windfall of some sort shows up, and because this comes with your ruler of Taurus in the 2nd house, so this could be very nice, right? Whatever it might be, this is a big deal, and I wouldn't be surprised if some of you Aquarians are looking to buy a home or move home within the next 6 months. I'm so over it right now. I'm just so over this whole moving thing, but you know, I guess if it has to happen, it will happen. The eclipse sextile Mars between the 4th and the 2nd. This is your house of money and resources, and Mars is the ruler of your 3rd. So this might be seeing you getting really proactive with your finances, being more go-getting about asking for money or making more money. At the very least, it might even see you being more dynamic about going after what you really want and using the money that you have access to in order to grow your financial footprint in some way. This could be a time where you're thinking about increasing sales and stuff, especially if you work with or from home. You could also be doing that. Sextiles always provide blessings, but you have to get after it. And especially because Mars is involved, Mars demands action. This is not like it falls in your lap energy. Venus conjunct Jupiter and Neptune in the 2nd house. I mean, ka-ching. Not only is your money in the process of being spiritualized, it's also in the process of being crystallized and solidified. There's something about this as well that brings ease, blessings, abundance. It also kind of brings the chance to reboot your money and your finances, and also to do what I call resetting your financial baseline. So what this tends to be is, you know, this is a practice that I started probably about 5 years ago now. I got to a point where I was sick and tired of, at the end of the month, seeing a certain number in my bank account, and I was like, no, this doesn't work. From now on, at any given moment, I want to see this number, and that's where it's going to stay from here on in. That's like resetting your financial baseline, and this could be happening now for you. Magic can happen now in this money house, Aquarius. You just got to believe in it and believe deeply as well, right? Jupiter and Neptune require deep belief in order to give those blessings. I like this for fated new beginnings that can bring a sense of anything is possible when it comes to the finances and the resources. The universe really does provide, and this is the feeling that you know that now on a much more profound sort of deep level. Abundance energy on fleek. Does anyone remember that? People used to say like eyebrows on fleek. I was like, yeah, abundance energy on fleek. Sorry, I'm laughing because I can't actually believe I wrote it down, but I clearly did. What a dork. So Saturn square in the nodes in the first house, the 4th and the 10th. Saturn is in the first house for Aquarians. To a lesser degree the sun and the moon, but still relevant. This is an energy that you probably will have felt more than anybody else because you've got Saturn in your own sign. Yes, he's in dignity because he's the ruler of Aquarius, but even still, it's a feeling that it's because this has been drilling, like for me, this has been drilling down on my sun, on the sun in my chart, should I say, and it's been hard. I'm not gonna lie, it's been a minute. It's given no quarter. May have also seen you know, things being very tiring. Maybe you've not had as much energy as you usually have, or things that usually come easy to you have been a lot harder to get initiated or to maintain sort of momentum. And square in the nodes, you might have felt like at times, what else, like literally what else can you take away from me? At this point I've got nothing else to give, so you know, you do your fucking worst at this point. Like, it couldn't get any worse than it's been. You know, if you're listening, by the way, I didn't mean that. So yeah, what I've put here as well is what else, like, will anything that I really desire come to pass? And with so much weight of expectation that sort of seems to be laying on you, there has maybe been that feeling of like, well, you know, everything's being stripped away from me and it's like nothing seems to be replenished at this point. From here on in, from this eclipse, you're about to start getting it all back, I promise. The Pluto trine Mercury in that dissociated trine between the 12th house and the 5th house, a discussion around love situation could come to the forefront. This could be a time where you and a partner can get really candid about what is working or not. For those of you that have secret crushes, this will be the time to divulge them. Some of you might discover that you have a secret admirer or somebody has a crush on you. This is also really great for rekindling the flames of an old partnership, relationship, or love connection. Maybe, you know, at sort of base level, on the more mundane, it could be the rekindling of you know, a friends with benefits kind of situation. That being said, creative projects, ideas, hobbies could all be coming back from the past and into your life, and in big ways could really excite and delight and bring much easier, more fun-loving vibes in. So you haven't had a lot of this for a while, Aquarius, and this is where you start to get this all back, right? You get a lot more fun, a lot more joy, a lot more ease. And then finally, this could be a very lucky time for speculative matters. So if you're thinking about investing or anything like that, this could be a really, really great time to do so. Finally, last but definitely not least, my dear Pisces, this eclipse for you is happening in your 3rd house. So straight off the bat, some of the things that I will say to you, the 3rd house is communication, reading, writing, speaking. It's your skills, it's sales. Maybe this is a time to sell you. Maybe this is a time for some of you where you're changing your daily job, your daily routines, or the way that you utilize your skills. Maybe you're yeah, for some of you, maybe you're planning to enhance that with a short course of some sort. It might also be some of you are changing a car or needing to change a car over the next few. I think, yeah, this will bring new work opportunities, definitely work opportunities to explore more of your local area. If you have siblings, this could be more interaction with them. If you don't, this could be a time where you discover that you have a secret sibling that you never knew about. Very possible. Eclipses in the 3rd house, I've seen it happen. This could also, yeah, I'm laughing. because it can happen. The third house is also communications, interactions, internet stuffs, websites, magazines. What content are you consuming regularly? This might be a time where you're really starting to get more conscious about that and maybe starting to digest that content more consciously. This is also a time to go through a big shake-up and see what this might see you learning through video, through film, TV, radio. It could see you interacting with those sort of levels as well. Maybe you get, through your job or through your work or your daily activities, maybe you start interacting more with TV, with film, with TV personalities, etc. This is a major moment for you, Pisces, because in a sense you're hosting Venus, you're the ruler of the eclipse, and Jupiter. Both of these are the benefic planets, plus you've got Neptune, your modern ruler, which is very happy in your sign. This is really, and Neptune's said to be the higher octave of Venus, so you're getting double blessings from the money sector, but you're also getting sort of triple blessings from all of this. There's a sense of upliftment and laughter and lightness here, and I really feel like this eclipse is going to set this into motion for you. It might be that on the day you just, you feel a little bit more jovial than usual, but then from there, it just ramps up and up and up, and you just feel like this kind of, you know what, life is good. There's lots to be happy for and to live for, so that could be great. The eclipse sextile to Mars between the third house and the first house. Sextiles are brilliant for bringing opportunities, but you have to look for it. You have to dig for it. The example that I like to give is you're walking through a field, you see like a little glint. You can probably say, oh, it's probably just an old beer can or whatever, but it might not be. You go over and it's a watch or a diamond or a £2 coin. You have to look for it. You have to look for the good in the opportunity, but they are there. And because Mars is a part of this sextile, the action energy behind it is really important. You're being asked here, so this could be a time to brush up old skills, dust off the CV, get ready to mix and mingle, do a little bit of razzle dazzle. I like this for you. I love this for social butterflying. I love this for networking, connecting to people, getting yourself out there, maybe even hashing yourself up a few business cards, although nobody does that anymore, especially because of the pandemic. So get yourself one of those digital ones. You can do that now where you just touch your phone to somebody else's and it gives all the details. Super swanky. I love it. This could be a work opportunity, I feel, that could be getting back to or rebooting your daily work interactions. How you communicate is going to be everything at this time. So when it comes to speaking and communicating, you bring your A game from here on in any and all work situations. Venus conjunct Jupiter and Neptune in the first. Jupiter and Neptune are your co-rulers. They're doing amazing work here, spiritualizing, harmonizing, sensualizing. Venus moving through your sign is making you a lot more beautiful. Not that you're not already, but it makes you very easy on the eye. It makes people really drawn to you because it has a magnetic quality to it. Which is great. It's supportive, dreamy. It's a little bit emotional and ungrounded, but great. Venus is exalted and she's going to be at the peak of that exaltation as of this eclipse. And from here on in, that energy that's been imprinted into you is going to unfold. She brings the grounded, earthy energy to make the most of this whole transit. What do you want? What is it in your heart of hearts? What do you really want? If you had a magic wish, if you had a magic wand, what would you ask for? And this is about wishing for that thing with everything that you have, your mind, your energy, as the oracle says to Neo, balls to bone, or, boobs to bone if you're a lady. This is like in the depths of you, making a wish on the day of the eclipse for something that you truly want. This isn't the same as setting in an intention. This is about a direct communication between you and the all that is, right? Take a moment to really wish. Tap into the universal flow of consciousness and substance like only you truly can. Because as a Pisces, you are literally made up of all of the other 12 signs, and yours is the energy of the universal consciousness. This is a time to manifest like never before. You get one wish. What are you going to do with it? Saturn square the nodes between the 12th, the 3rd and the 9th. Your work, I mean, for Pisces, I feel for you guys, it's been hard, has been so demanding of you guys for a while. We're going to have a little bit more of this year, I'm sorry to say, but once it's done, I mean, you're truly being upgraded with everything that's happening in your sign at the moment. We'll have seen vulnerable people probably becoming more needy or expecting more from you. You might have felt a need or a desire to do or be more things to other people, and sometimes maybe even to your own detriment. It's like you've almost neglected part of what you want and need. It's encouraging you to take responsibility and release from your life. What is not yours to carry? Where is it a time for you to get real? Because Saturn in the 12th, this could be you're really getting rid of your self-sabotaging beliefs and tendencies. But in order to do that, you're having to really look at them in the cold light of day and say, okay, you know what? I need to stop carrying this guilt. I need to stop carrying other people. I need to stop, you know, like you're being really honest with yourself about where you need to show up more for yourself than you do for other people. And the only way out of this is through, and if you don't do it now, I'm not going to say that you'll be stuck with it, but this is Saturn moving through the 12th house is a once in 30-year transit. If you don't do this work now, Saturn moves out of the sign of Aquarius and into the sign of Pisces in March of 2023. So, you know, do this work now is what I'm saying. Reach out and ask to the universe, what is it that you should be learning right now? And what is it that maybe you have missed or you have ignored? And then just listen to see what shows up. Finally, that Pluto trine Mercury in the dissociated sign. You've got the 12th house and the 4th house. So this is going to be possibly a tough conversation that's had with a family member. It may also be something that releases you from some form of karmic family event or history. It may also be a time where you give yourself more permission, or give yourself permission to be more self-focused and directed, where you stop trying to be something for somebody else that they should be able to do for themselves. This is a time where you're having to be really honest about, you know what, maybe this is the time for you to stop financing your children. Maybe this is the time for you to stop financing a parent. Maybe this is a time for you to be more honest about the way that you make your money. What I mean by that is if people owe you money and you're like, oh, you know, I'll get around to asking them for it, this is a time maybe to start flipping that. It's about taking more responsibility in that 12th house for what is getting in your way that you have a direct hand in. And this may center around your home and or your family. Now, as it's a trine, whatever conversations come up, they would be to do with the home, but it can bring healing and blessings, and it can allow you to free up another type of relationship, or at least open up new dialogues as a result. And then finally, this could be a deep wound healing and releasing from something on the home front that you seem to kind of, you know, and it could be more on your own terms than anything else. And it may also be a time about planning for the future of a move or a change of home in some way. That was deep and intense, and I truly hope that it helps you. With that said, please enjoy. Don't forget to check out Midpoint Magic and Madness into the Multiverse video that is coming very, very soon. That will be really informative of how to utilize this stuff and what you might be experiencing at the same time. It's been an absolute pleasure. I truly hope that this helps you, and I will see you soon. Take care, and I'll catch up with you in a bit.